Hey, it's me, NT, and today I want to let you know about my top 7 demos from the October 2025 Steam Next Fest, where developers officially release their new demos. I've sifted through the top lists, read Reddit and game websites, and played over 30 demos to bring you my favorites. Let's get started. Tribute Games, the studio behind one of my favorite games, Mercenary Kings, as well as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, a standout brawler, is back with another fun street 'em up, Marvel Cosmic Invasion. This time the fight spans from the streets of New York to the depths of the Negative Zone, as 15 Marvel heroes take on the Annihilation Wave. The demo wastes no time throwing you into the action, and it's exactly as wild as you'd hope. I picked Spider-Man and Wolverine, and webbing it up as Spider-Man or using Wolverine's lunging pummel feels fantastic. Each character has a distinct rhythm that keeps combat fresh. I especially like being able to tag out team members mid-fight, adding a bit of strategy to the brawl. The stage variety also stands out. One minute you're clearing bug-infested streets, the next you're slugging it out against AIM in orbit. I'm most excited by the co-op elements, but single player felt pretty awesome too. Published by Devolver Digital, another one of my favorite indie publishing houses, Skate Story drops you into the ash-covered depths of the underworld for a surreal skateboarding adventure. You play as a fragile demon made of glass, grinding rails and kickflipping through smoke and darkness on a quest to eat the moon. It's part skate sim, part art piece, and it all just flows. The first thing that hit me was the music. It's infectious, atmospheric, and fits the game perfectly. Skate Story feels like someone mashed up Tony Hawk Pro Skater with a fever dream, and somehow it works. The controls are tight and responsive, letting you build momentum and chain tricks in a way that feels incredibly satisfying. Beneath the surreal premise, there's clearly a story to tell here, and I'm all in for the ride. Tears of Metal takes the chaos of medieval warfare and fuses it with a roguelike intensity. You lead a fierce Scottish battalion, hacking through waves of enemies to reclaim your homeland and uncover the mystery behind the Dragon Meteor. It's a mix of large-scale battles and up-close combat, with that satisfying rhythm of dodging, blocking, and striking at just the right moment. Think of it as Kessen or Dynasty Warriors crossed with an action roguelike. You're not just mowing down enemies, you're managing your health and stamina, and picking when to unleash devastating special attacks. The roguelike upgrades are a real highlight. One run you might ignite foes with every swing, another you're countering attack in chains that share damage. Add in realistic war cries and intense music, and it all comes together into something uniquely fierce. If you're looking for a different take on the traditional roguelike, this one should knicker your kilts. I can't do one of these lists without a Metroidvania, and Constance is the best of the several I played. It blends fast-paced movement with a striking paint-based combat system to create a beautiful sense of flow. You can remove corruption, dive across the air, and slice through enemies in one fluid motion as you explore its interconnected world. Every stroke of your brush reveals secrets, unlocks new abilities, and expands the map, but there's a twist. Overuse your brush and you become corrupted, meaning you take damage every time you use a paint ability. The demo feels great to play. It's smooth, responsive, and clearly inspired by modern Metroidvanias like Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, from which it wholesale lifts the screenshot mechanic. The visuals pop with bold color and style, and the world design encourages exploration without feeling overwhelming, especially since you get a free respawn at the cost of strengthened enemies. That does really help with the tougher platforming sections though, and I like having the choice between respawning or going back to a save point. I also like the paint gauge mechanic, which adds a layer of risk and reward to every fight. This is definitely a game I'm going to be keeping my eye on. Monsters Are Coming! Rock and Road is a wild mashup of tower defense, survival, and roguelike mechanics, with a city that never stops moving. You're constantly gathering resources, building defenses, and upgrading your base to survive the endless waves of monsters chasing you down. It's fast-paced, chaotic, and it's surprisingly strategic as you decide whether to invest in offensive towers, support structures, or town upgrades like farms that give you a little trickle of gold every so often. The demo totally hooked me. It really reminded me of Ball X Pit, with that same constant progression while dodging danger. I love how this game keeps you active the entire time, running around crafting, building, and fighting to keep your mobile town alive. In an interesting twist, you don't lose when your hero dies, only when your town falls. Still, those fallen heroes leave behind gravestones that can clutter up your setup for your town. Assuming this game has the variety it needs, the demo seemed rather limited. It'll be an experience with legs. Yunyun Syndrome Rhythm Psychosis is a rhythm adventure that's as bizarre as it is brilliant. You play as Cutie, an unhinged hikikomori whose obsession with catchy Japanese songs starts corrupting the world around her. It's part rhythm game, part visual novel, and completely drenched in chaotic energy. The art and animation are top tier, with expressive characters that pull you straight into Cutie's neon-tinted madness alongside her fictional friend Yunyun. I had a blast with the demo. There's several great tracks, including a few I actually recognized from my college days, and the whole thing had me bobbing my head and clacking along on my keyboard. The gameplay is a bit too easy on normal and mostly too difficult on hard, which isn't unusual for a rhythm game, but you can't actually fail a song, which keeps the game moving forward. There are 10 tracks in total, with 4 unlockable by exploring Cutie's house, adding a nice layer of discovery. But while I enjoy the music, I'm actually more interested in the full game releasing so I can learn more about the story of a hikikomori infecting the world with her fan-love psychosis. OPUS Prism Peak is a narrative adventure that blends quiet melancholy with breathtaking beauty. You play as a weary photographer lost in the Dusklands, a haunting world that mirrors reality but is devoid of humanity. Only spirits, taking the form of animals, inhabit this place. Traveling with a mysterious girl who's lost her memories, you piece together the story of what happened to humanity and try to find your way home in the process. When I saw the publisher was Shueisha Games, I was immediately intrigued since Shueisha publishes Shonen Jump and a whole bunch of other stuff. This demo actually left me relaxed and introspective. The photo mechanic encourages you to slow down and observe, with easy-to-use mechanics like an autofocus system. Every snapshot brings life back into the world, drawing faded spirits back into the current of time. The art direction is stunning, the music's serene, and the spirits are beautifully designed. My only complaint is that the protagonist walks a little too slowly. I really needed a walk faster button. But honestly, that pace gives the game an almost meditative calm, a chance to take in every detail of its beautiful environments. This game is my #1 pick because, in a short 30-minute runtime, I started to really care about its characters. And that's something special for a demo. There are 3 more games that didn't make my favorites list, but are good enough to mention. First is Love Eternal, a psychological horror platformer that combines tiny, pixel-based graphics with a subtly disturbing story to great effect. It feels like a combination of Celeste and VVVVVVV in the gameplay, where you can flip gravity once before having to land on a stable surface. The controls were great, really spot on, but the demo was also really short. It only took me 10 minutes to beat it, and I think half that time was on 2 rooms I got stuck on. Second is Bubsy 4D. The only reason I gave this game a chance is because Fabraz is the developer, and they're the makers of the excellent Demon Tides demo I played back in March, and a bunch of other 3D platformers that focus on expressive movement. And I have to say, it's a lot of fun to play, if a bit too linear. The whole thing feels really solid, even the voice acting and the characters that are mostly just annoying. Third is Hellmaiden, an action roguelike with emphasis on story similar to Hades. I really enjoy the combat, getting different weapons like an exploding holy orb that I modified to fire between 1 to 6 projectiles at once, or a spinning holy sword that I modified to apply weaken. You can even play cards that affect the cards around it, so I put a projectile +1 on my lightning attack to increase both my sword and orb projectiles. But the game feels like it needs a lot of balancing, and I also feel like it's a little too much in love with its own story. As a reminder, this Steam Next Fest runs from October 13th to October 20th, 2025. Some of these demos might disappear when the festival ends, so you should go ahead and play any you're interested in. But if Next Fest has already ended, it won't hurt to check if the demos are still available. Most of them probably will be. I hope this video gave you some cool new games to check out. And if you want to see more interesting new games, would you please subscribe and turn notifications on? And if you want to support me, there's a Ko-Fi link in the description. Anyway, that's it for me this evening. Hope you have a great night, and bye!